This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
All right, I'd like to call the January 11th, 2023 meeting of the Easthampton Historical Commission to order. First order of business is public speak. Anything outside of Tasty Top? Okay. Good there. We have 3 sets of minutes to approve. If you want to take your time, we can skip over them, come back around and take care of these gentlemen first.
Sure.
Sound good? Okay. Item 5, Tasty Top Development.
So I apologize that you didn't get that.
I've been busy and I was gonna ask about it, but.
So I gave you a copy of our response. Basically, the short answer is we took the plan that was given to us by Jamie, that was prepared by SWCA on behalf of the Pioneer Valley Planning, that shows the section of the canal that runs adjacent to the property.
Right.
So I took this plan here, so the pink is roughly the limits of the subject property.
Yep.
Here's kind of the dividing line of the property is the intermittent stream. So here's the old golf range, and then this is the back field. There's a change in the hatching right here. This is a section that's been deemed as destroyed.
Yep.
This is a section that's deemed to be intact.
Yep.
So this portion right here is now it's shown on our site plans. Excuse me a little bit. So this is the overall site development plan, but you can see this is the limits of the remaining section of the canal.
Yep.
And this is up well above the river.
Okay.
So there's probably a 40 or 50 foot hill here that goes down to the remnants of the canal. So nothing we're doing
So it's not
is
gonna worry.
nothing we're doing is ever going to disturb that canal. We have no chance of even driving a piece of equipment down there.
Right.
No soil will be stockpiled there. So it's in the best space it could be. It's going to be preserved by this project forever because we have really no need to go down there.
Yeah.
What about drainage?
Nope. Everything's going to be kept up on the top of the hill, and any of the discharges will be to the existing water courses.
The other thing was connection to the sewer line.
That is over here, and that is the portion that's been
Oh, okay.
destroyed,
Right.
according to that map.
That was in the other letter that I got.
Yeah.
And we'll repair the surface exactly how it is in that area anyways.
Yeah, by going through there, we'd have to restore it exactly how it would be anyway, but that section's been deemed as gone anyway.
Right, it was just trees there now or something?
Yeah, you can see it down here. If you know what you're looking for. Over here, there's not much sign of anything left.
I think this brook meandered through here a lot.
Yeah.
There's some, like, it's just the native, you know how brooks change and they spin around, like the brook could have been here at this one time, but and it's moved around a lot.
It's 170 plus years ago when they built that thing, so it's a lot can happen in that amount of time. Our biggest concern was, I would say, probably parking. I didn't know. I had no idea what it looked like. Number one, and I would like to actually take a walk down there and check it out.
We didn't know what it looked like either until we got some of the information from you, and I went out there and took a look at it, and it's chunked up a little bit, but there are signs of it being it.
Sure.
So it's not a continuous swath like it's led to believe. But
Right. You can. It's on this side that you can see remnants of it, kind of where this is a little bit flat, and then there's a berm over here that would have held the water in there.
They use the natural berm on this side, but this side is definitely a man-made edge of the
You
canal.
could see sections of it that were still, and it's not very big, Brian. It's this tall.
I think that swath is a little bit aggressive from the plans based on the scale.
Yeah.
We scanned their plan in, scaled it up, and put it in the background. So we traced it exactly, but in reality, it's probably only 40 feet wide out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know it's not very wide.
Yeah. And the plans that showed it going through here, that I saw on one of the Garrett Stover's plans, they're just not accurate.
This is the latest that we have gotten.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I scanned in. That's what I
Yeah.
showed highlighted in pink before.
And that's the dashed lines. What you see there, that's his dashed lines
Yeah.
here. Okay?
That's over
Yeah.
Yeah, so this line right here is the change in color. That's where it goes from intact to gone, is right here. And then I still have the old remnant line, but
Yeah,
There's nothing.
that's this piece here.
Right. And that's outside of our limit of work. We're not gonna, our limit of work is the top of that slope here,
Mhm.
here and here.
Okay, all right. You know, like I said, I think, you know, maybe put some signage while construction's going on to, you know, keep out of that area. And whatnot.
yeah, I mean, there'll be an
See-
established
see-
silt fence line, so there's a limit of work shown in the field by the silt fence.
Okay, all right.
And I think as the developer, we'd be happy to put up some sort of sign in conjunction with the commission of highlighting what's down there.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, we can have a discussion later on, I mean, as far as marker of some sort or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to have it.
Oh, yeah, you
Highlighted
know,
for
especially
sure.
where you got a place where people can actually,
Yeah.
you know.
Like I said, we're willing, you know, there's no prohibition from people from recreating on it, but from the access of this property, it's not
Yeah.
real productive.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then directly adjacent to is the Manhattan. And it's,
Oh, okay, right.
the Manhattan River is like just
You can
off
see
the
it's
plan
just-
here.
yeah.
We're looking at kind of this spot right
Yeah.
here.
Okay. I know it's confusing and you look at it one way or another.
Yep, you have to spin everything in the
Yeah.
same direction to make any sense of it.
Are we in the same direction now? I guess
You're
we
close.
are.
Yeah. Yep.
Because that's right there.
Yeah, the manhand's over here. Yeah, not like that blue line there.
Okay, so this is the part that's still there.
Yeah.
Confusing. Okay, I mean, and we can still give you another response, as, you know, about the discussions and whatnot. Anything you'd like from us?
We just wanted to come make sure that you guys were had an understanding that we were staying away from it. And it couldn't be in a better spot because we would never be down there. And
That's probably why it's still there.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's 170 plus years old, and we drive by a couple signs for it in Westville where we work that used to be there
They
too.
didn't have all that heavy equipment that we got now.
Yeah,
I'd say they were a lot smarter than we were back then, for sure, to connect that.
Labor was cheap.
I was telling Brian that I had worked a few decades ago on a project in the center of Westfield.
Yeah.
In the center of Westfield, where the Stop and Shop that's there, is the old Smith Boiler Factory.
Right.
There was an actual harbor right there.
Yeah.
That was like in the, we had pictures of like little what are they, Brian? Like
Barges.
barges. There was, you know, it wasn't very deep that
No.
yeah, but there was barges and boats and everything.
Yeah.
In downtown Westfield, there was a big harbor there.
Yeah,
And the old Smith.
there's
factory.
actually an article online, I think the title's something like the Westfield Seaport or something, you know?
Oh, it was right where Stop and Shop. That's where that harbor was. That was I got involved with it when they were demolishing. It was the Smith's Boiler Factory. That was a very, very interesting plant.
You bet. Anybody else have any comments, questions? Hi, Nora.
Hi. The door's locked over there.
That's what I
So I
heard.
was like totally confused. Yeah.
That makes three of us.
Like,
Join the-
I went in the wrong meeting and, yeah, circled around.
Okay, no problem. Great, well, you know, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Are you Frank?
Yep.
Okay, I just want to get you down on the,
Okay. Yeah.
I'm Frank, I'm Brian.
yeah.
Again,
You were here.
I said I copied you, clearly I didn't do a very good job. I actually copied you guys in the letter. I submitted like 5 different letters in one shot, and
Well, you know, like I said, I got Garrett's response, and
I haven't seen
I started
yet.
looking through everything else, and you know, I mean, it's basically, I'll forward it to you when we get a chance.
Okay.
It's some documents from the old survey, which is prior to this recent one.
All right, I mean, based on the topography, what the PVC, Pioneer Valley plan, it makes sense.
So, yeah.
The other ones just don't. If it went over here,
It can't go uphill like that. Yeah.
it's too
Right,
drastic
yeah.
of an uphill.
Not what else will help, right? All right.
Well, I appreciate the conversation.
Thanks for coming in. Sometimes it helps, you know. to just-
Yeah, it's so close that it made sense to just hash it out in person instead of
Sure.
back and forth.
Absolutely.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's get back. Did you get the minutes?
I did.
Would you like to copy so you can read them? We can vote on them?
Yeah, I would, just because, yeah, I
You
haven't had a
able to read
moment
yours?
to.
Or you
Yep,
like to-
yep.
And you have
Some
them?
above
or-
water.
For this month or last? or
Thank you.
Last month.
I emailed them.
Yeah, and I saw that you did, I haven't had a chance to read them.
I didn't
Do you
read
want
it.
to make copies? I'll make copies.
You don't need to make copies, I'll
No.
glance at it now and.
She'll glance at it.
Go through.
Here, here, you glance at one, I'll
Don't
glance
mark
at
them
one.
up. Play some on hold music.
The only thing I saw was one little typo in the October's 26th meeting minutes, just, it says "or" instead of "of." Minor little thing. In part 3, paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like it's the 4th line from the bottom. Starts out, John Brunner commented on the prevalence of demo by neglect and his hope that we will see less of that in the future instead of less of that in the
Oh,
future.
okay. That's the only thing?
That's it.
That's the only thing?
It's the only thing I see.
There's only one thing.
Just
Okay.
that.
I thought you were starting on the second thing.
Nope.
So that's the one thing. Okay.
Shall I make a move that we accept the October 26th meeting minutes?
That's the only one I haven't looked at.
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
You
I-
could
I'm
do the
thinking
7th, I
one.
wasn't there for the 7th. I'm sorry.
The 7th, okay. I propose we accept the October, the meeting of the 7th minutes.
Were you there?
I wasn't here.
Oh, so you don't get to vote on those. So it's you got a motion?
Yeah.
And a second?
I wasn't that
Oh, you
7th
were-
either. So.
I know, right? Can we vote on it with? You
I don't know.
can
That's a good
you can
question.
still accept the minutes,
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah. I mean, there really wasn't anything going on at that meeting. There was no votes or anything, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we only kind of went over a few things and decided to do a letter and look at, we got a response.
Yeah, yeah.
It's good. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
I think we can go with that, right?
All right.
And then there's the, what is it? That was on November 9th.
November 9th. You were there.
Yes.
I move we accept the meeting minutes of the November 9th meeting.
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so November 9th, it just took a long time. a lot longer than I would have wanted. Let's see. Yeah, just like I worked you in there, John Bruner.
Yeah.
Of that in the future. Okay.
And the October 26th minutes.
Yeah.
Did you get a chance to look at those?
Yes.
I move
Yeah.
we accept those meeting minutes.
I second. Or-
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so October 26th was, so everybody was here for that one, right?
Yeah, that was the big one.
That was the big one, and then the 9th was also the big one, and
Was all- yeah.
everybody was here for that one also. Watched it like 3 times.
I know, I watched parts of it a few times.
Well, the guy that was on the computer at home, what's his name?
The lawyer or the?
No,
or the-
he's actually like the president of Associated Builders.
Oh, okay.
I think you can afford a camera. Sorry. All right. Where's my agenda? October 26th, January 11th. Okay, correspondence. Great. So anyways, this I probably could have mentioned last meeting, but I didn't get it done right away anyways. The City Space is still asking for letters of support which we've been doing right along.
Yeah.
So they got one on January 3rd. It's basically the same as last time around, if anybody wants to take a look at it.
And I don't know if anybody heard, but I think we got more money this year than last time.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great.
They increased the allotment.
Okay, so, yeah, good. They ask like every quarter, I think. So I said, I'm going to change the date and sign the letter and send it off to them. I mean, we're still supporting them, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, and, okay, so the other thing was Garrett Stover's response to their response, which was, like I said, I'm gonna start reading the email, and it was forwarded from Eli and Jamie, so it came from two directions. And I'm reading Garrett's piece, and it says, I read Tasty Top Development LLC's response to your letter regarding the New Haven Northampton Canal. And I'm thinking, I haven't seen that. I was going to get a hold of either one of them guys, and I've been busy with other things. Anyways, I note their response addressed only one portion of the canal route, and there's another stretch of the canal which would be in fact disturbed by the proposed project. If you I understand what he's saying, and
But he had a map that had the wrong, because there wasn't as much overlapping as one of the maps showed, right?
not necessarily. He's got this here, which is basically a written description. There's the other part that he sent. Tried to save some paper. He also sent this, which is only a piece of the, which made it kind of hard to see exactly where he was. But this is the same section that they were talking about. I think it's maybe this is talking about the canal being here, right, and not
Yeah.
You
The
still
canal
have
isn't
your map?
marked here, but it would be just outside the boundary
here. Right.
of this.
Well, this is color pictures, everybody. I made copies of all this
Oh,
just
thank
because
you.
they're color pictures. I know everybody has color pictures.
You're right, we sure do.
I marked up one. Is there markers on that one? Yeah.
Oh, that one has marks on it?
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. You can look at it.
Oh, I
This
see.
is basically I was trying to match it
Yeah.
up.
So
So
here's
if
the
you want
section they were
to-
pointing at.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. This is the brook, and you can basically. This is the title on the top. You can see the canal coming down here.
Yeah. And then it breaks up here.
Comes along here,
Yeah.
and it looks like it probably does this.
Right. That's what it did.
And
This is all defunct.
This must be Northampton Street here, right?
Yeah.
So it would have come like this somehow, probably across there. It's kind of, it's hard to see, but you can see this is elevations.
Right there.
I'm pretty sure.
That's a street. Yeah.
This
It's
is the,
hard to
this
tell
is the
right here.
Manhead River.
I think it might have even, did it join the Manhan for a little bit?
I think it was up on this ridge actually, because they used the West Street culvert.
But anyway-
when they built the road, it was the.
So it looks like from what they just said, this section is the intact section, but this section is no longer intact.
Yeah.
And this is the part that's along there.
Well, the thing is, and I mean, I get it, kind of, because I'm assuming Garrett did not see this. Again, my map-making skills, putting all stuff together.
Oh, I love that, I was hoping to photograph that, that's pretty cool, the way you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not like you can
Yeah,
just put them
no,
together.
that's,
and see the
yeah,
camera.
that's
So if this orange is defunct,
very good and crafty.
that's
Yeah.
really showing us that,
Well, I mean, I get it if there's a tree line here,
yeah.
which there very well might be, but I'm also kind of like, is that something we really need to worry about that much?
Well, I don't know that it's
I mean, because he was kind of saying, well, there's still signs of it. I haven't read through all of this to understand it, enough to actually.
It seems to me, as long as they stay true to their word that they don't like dump off the cliff face,
Yeah.
that's the thing that I would have thought would be the kind of thing they might do during construction.
Yeah.
But we've got them on the record saying they're not going to do that, as long as they're not dumping all the detritus and soil off
Right.
that cliff.
Yeah, that was kind of what we were worried about them filling in,
Yeah.
or, I mean, over here, I mean, they're gonna cross this with the digging anyways.
Digging what?
The sewer line,
The sewer line?
which is right here, I think. Is it on this one? I know I saw it somewhere.
I
It's
thought
on
it
the
was
plans.
further over. And only crossed the,
Well, this is the brook. I'm assuming. Right here, yeah, here's the interceptor right here. So it's coming across here, they're gonna. So we're right here. All right. That matches up with this right here. So they're gonna come across like right here to the interceptor, which is somewhere over here.
That's different than what I understood then. I thought that they were saying they weren't gonna be disturbing any
Well,
of that.
this is the area that goes down the hill.
Right.
This is the part that's not there anymore.
Oh, I'm turning around backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Okay, we got flipped over. Okay, so it is in that section.
Yeah.
Right, okay, well, then that's
I
not
mean,
a problem.
I don't know what it looks like. That's my biggest problem. That's an issue I had with when they were coming in, going like, I've never been down here. I'd like to take a walk
You could
down
try
there to
and
see
take a
what it
walk
looks
down
like.
there.
But
I walked it a few years back, and there wasn't anything that I thought like the thing that I always have imagined
Put your craft.
sure.
is that it might be turned into a park, like some towns have done. But none of this looked like the kind of thing that would have been eligible for it. It's not in a spot where you could get access to it. It's not really that preserved to me. The best spot is there on Lovefield Road, where it intersects Lovefield Road. That's where it's both kind of park-like and it's fairly preserved.
O'Neill Street.
Yeah, that's where I would think if you were going to resurrect a section for like a little historic park.
I mean the one beauty of their development as opposed to anywhere else is that they're actually creating access to that little section of it, which you never really have before, unless
Right.
you were, going across trails. And I mean, they're talking about section 31, and these are section numbered differently, so that
They
doesn't
are?
help us. I believe
Really?
so. Yeah, I think this is like section 77, right?
Segment 77.
And so they're talking about Pomeroy's Basin near Lock 26, which I believe is out in Southampton. And then you go.
So you're saying, so that's different than, their segmenting is different? That key down there?
Let's see, where's Easthampton? Oh, maybe
It says it's Westfield,
30. Yeah, because 32 is in
Southampton.
34, 35 is on the Easthampton line. And they're talking about it, they're talking about section 35 being right over here.
Right, 35 is on the line of Southampton, according to,
According to
Yeah,
this, yeah. But according to this, section 35 is south, 200 feet southwest of Highland Avenue, which is over here, and 200 feet is only that. But I thought this was kind of, it was kind of cool because you can definitely see it here as it cuts across and then kind of disappears. So they must have been like hugging the edge of the that embankment when they built it, trying to stay away from it as much as they could. From what I read in the past, that they built the canal and it could cross a farmer's field, and they'd have like a wooden trough. And farmers would go out there and smash the thing because they needed to get to the other side of it. So they were doing all sorts of those repairs, you know. Hey, it's not bad when you look at the map. Does it get better when it's warmed up?
Yeah, it just depends what you're looking at. White is what it's really having a problem.
It doesn't look white.
But yeah, it's funny. I can't make out the canal from the satellite
Is
image.
Highland Ave right there?
Yeah,
It's right there.
yeah, that's Highland Ave.
Right there. Where you're,
This right there?
That's it right there. Yeah.
That's it. Oh yeah, I think so. It goes here.
Yeah.
You can kind of see it arched right
It
there.
goes, goes straight.
Oh, it goes there.
Yep.
Oh yeah, now I see it.
And there's O'Neill Street.
Yeah,
And that's the sections you can see.
yeah.
And according to, if you go a little farther to the north,
Up this way.
yep, that section right over here, evidently it was kind of a swamp anyway, so they just built like a big kind of pool there.
Oh,
That's, I mean, what I've seen, I don't know if that's 100% true,
'cause-
but there's the railroad tracks and the canal,
Mhm.
right, the canal right next to it.
yeah.
That
it's
might
right
be a
here.
feeder right there, coming off the mountain from
Yeah.
the other side. I mean, it's, you know, it's fairly good sized.
Yeah.
If you get into like right along those railroad tracks where it's kind of wide open, it's like,
Yeah.
it's definitely noticeable. Something anyways, you know, it's not like you can't see the boats anymore, but,
Too bad.
and so his concern, where is Garrett? You know, basically parcel shares a boundary with the proposed project site. The canal section in question travels southeast from the Clap Tavern, which was on Northampton Street.
Right.
It's still there. Meets and then runs along that shared boundary and then continues into and through the project site. This portion of the canal is filled in but remains quite apparent from topography. I guess my question is, if it's filled in, should it be that much of a concern? You know what I mean? If there's
Yeah, I
like,
know.
if it's kind of flat, I mean, I don't know, I'd have to look at it, you know, really to be perfectly honest with you. It'd be interesting to see how this kind of shakes out in the long term anyways, you know? I mean, I'm not gonna make any predictions, but I'm probably asking for more than they plan on getting anyways. All right, so. Anyways, I think we're kind of getting caught up here. Did you want to hear their response from Furrow?
Yeah. I would like to.
On behalf of Tasty Top Development LLC, Furrow Engineering is submitting this letter in response to a letter received from the Easthampton Historical Commission dated December 19th, which you guys didn't hear, because I just wrote it and sent it to them at the last minute. Checking up on us. The revised plan submitted shows the limits of the remaining section of the Hampshire and Hampton Canal as shown on the provided plans. The plan reference is titled Hampshire and Hampton Canal Documentation Project prepared for Pioneer Valley Planning. I would imagine is this. And was prepared by SWCA Environmental Consultants. The remaining portion of the canal straddles a portion of the northeastern property line of the subject lot, which would be here. The remaining section of the canal is outside the limit of any proposed work, so we're talking about this again, and will not be disturbed by construction activities. No construction equipment or materials will be stored in this area. This area is also listed on plans as do not disturb area. The developer is agreeable with installing a historic marker and would coordinate the design and location with the Historical Commission. The portion of the remaining canal is that is on the subject property would be open for recreational opportunities by the residents. If you have any questions, please feel free to feel free to contact us. So that is their response, which feels reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, can't have everything. We get a little off track here, but I had to go out to Mendon a few weeks ago, about a month ago. And we stopped at some of the old mills there. They actually had a canal out back. I'm trying to think what river it was. But it was actually kind of cool because they made, actually the TCR, I think, came in and it actually made a little park out of the area where the canal was and all. So it was like, it's basically a state park.
Nice.
Yeah. Let's see. Sweaters.
That's, I think it was Plainfields, the one that I had originally seen. Carl was making the map and doing presentations, and they had restored about a block-long section. It was a historic marker information.
This is the Blackstone River and Canal Heritage State Park.
Yeah.
And so the little mill, there's the canal, nice and green. But it was a nice little walk along it, along the towpath, and the river was actually pretty far down below. So, they somehow got water up there. And, I mean, the factories from like 1913.
Cool.
It was pretty neat. It was an interesting little trip that part of the state doesn't.
What'd you say, Mendon?
Uxbridge, actually, where this
Okay.
was, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
cool.
yeah, because on the way back from Mendon, we stopped in Uxbridge. My friends, when the pandemic hit and he couldn't do anything else, he started looking at places that were on the National Register of Historic Places. And kind of, okay, so tomorrow we're going to go to Springfield and find all the places that are on the
Cool.
National Register.
What a cool project.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
cool.
it is kind of cool. It's a little strange sometimes, but it's kind of fun.
Hey,
Like I said, we did Uxbridge. You find, there's this building right here. It's
some
like
people
one of
try to
the
go
first
to all
house,
the Major League Baseball stadiums.
Well, he's
so-
done that. He's done that already.
Okay, so he's a wanderer.
Yeah, he
That's great.
definitely likes that. This is
That's great.
Simon Wheelock. His wife did have a date on there. But we found quite a few places, which was interesting.
That's great.
His house was built in 1768. Yeah. Kind of neat. Some towns, cities do a really good job.
Yeah.
Other places are a little bit behind. All right, so what do we want to do about tasting? Do we want to send them another comment letter?
Just verifying that they're not
Verifying, yeah,
gonna do anything
yeah.
down there, and that.
As per,
I would actually like to take a look at this section here. I mean, because he's talking from here over. This is, obviously this is one town, there's houses on it. And it's probably fairly flat. I think you had the map up. But, you were down the other end.
Yeah.
we could meet there for a walk with them and videotape it.
Good. I'm all right with it. Easy enough to get a hold of these guys now. They're going to be fairly receptive to talk to us because they want our approval.
Maybe
Like
take a
mine.
walk through and
Yeah.
and then send a letter, like I said, as per our discussion.
Yeah,
Okay. All right, so this, the only problem is it's really hard to match this up if anybody else wants to see it. unfortunately. Okay, so there's Burger King. This is part of the property. This is what I'm assuming was part of the canal. Here's where the stream is. So they're gonna be coming over here. This must be part of the old canal right here, somewhere in this area. Let's see. Okay, it came across here, skirted the edge of the river, and then comes this way, and I'm pretty sure it was this part right here, not this. The big problem is, okay, where is this on this? 'Cause we don't have Burger King. Well, I think that's it right there. Here's the stream, so Burger King will be over here probably. Not sure.
What about from entering from that side street, past,
So, okay, so they're going all the way down to here, I'm assuming. Let's see, right, so that's kind of irrelevant, but it's probably over here. Over here. This might be what, was Brian talking about it? This, maybe this right here, this border is probably this right here. Where it's not the canal's farther down.
Right.
And so they're limited, their property's probably right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like we really need to go take a look. Could get a hold of him, give him a call or whatever, see if we can get down there as a group.
yeah,
I mean, Jamie like always wants us to make an agenda, because we have an agenda. All right, let's try to book a site visit.
that would be great.
I mean, only to kind of satisfy my curiosity, because I want to see what it looks like.
Well, yeah, there's that, and then there's also that I think helps shore up how,
Well, the other thing is, how
Yeah.
significant is the section of the canal that's no longer there, even though you can tell it was there? Probably only if you knew there was a canal.
Right.
So if you didn't know there was a canal, you wouldn't,
where's Highland Ave on this?
right here.
Oh, okay.
So the canal kind of comes
So,
down like here.
what, can we get there from here? Would that be an easier way, or to see it, or?
I don't think so, because this is fairly deep. It's like
Okay.
a steep gully there.
Okay,
Maybe,
If
but
that-
you're gonna
if
still
it-
have to go across private properties, but it's
Okay.
probably easier to come in here and
Through
just
there is-
walk across
okay.
these fields and,
Alright.
swim across the creek.
yeah, I would be happy to boot up for that.
Tell you a story a little bit later.
Yeah, don't forget.
Well, it kind of goes back to, wearing boots and whatnot. And something that was important in its day that's no longer really there, but you can see part of it, which I think is kind of neat.
Absolutely.
Anyways, we're not going to do much on the demo delay bylaw tonight, are we?
No,
Town clock restoration, what do we know?
Yeah, that has been pretty interesting in the CPA meetings. So there's been a lot of hoopla about verifying ownership. And that's kind of a little bit out of our hands, I guess. That's being worked out by the town solicitor and the church. And Dan Rist has been pretty vehement that we're gonna solidify that ownership. It's not a given. There's an outside chance that we don't own it or can't prove it, or
Yeah.
the town's not comfortable with that. But everybody, opinion-wise, it's everyone's like, we want to take care of this, we want to fix it. There isn't any debate about wanting to get it repaired.
good.
It will probably come back to us because there was a lot of debate about historic preservation versus functional preservation. So for example, there's the issue of
not only like, well, if the hands were made of copper, do they have to be made of copper? If it's wood, does it have to be the same kind of wood? Does it just have to be wood? Can you use composite wood? And then that's on the outside, which tends to be more rigorous. There are other towns that have replaced the innards with modern mechanical innards. And I thought my impression representing the commission was that we did not have a problem with that we thought that the function mattered more than trying to do a historical preservation on the mechanics of the clock, especially because one of the reasons for the whole preservation is we're being advised not to hit the bell with a hammer anymore. Or swing it. I guess it used to swing and there's a clanger inside, and that's all dangerous. It's like a 2-ton thing swinging around up there. So they're gonna. The proposal is that it's replaced with a more modern mechanical device that.
Right. The clock itself, if we do verify ownership of it, I wonder if it's kind of irrelevant to the church, in a sense. If we fix the outside of the clock and make it look nice and pretty for them, to historic standards, would we be able to claim the mechanism itself and put it on display like at city space?
Yeah, that's one of the things that people had suggested,
especially
is that
like in the front lobby or something.
Yeah,
like
that it's a neat device, and that putting it down where people can see it would be.
It's also fairly valuable.
Yeah.
And, it's stuck in an attic right now and not really functioning.
Right.
It would need to, have the electronics taken off it. And, I remember when you went on a tour up there, right?
Yeah, I was there.
We've been on this commission way too long. But that was a long time ago.
Yeah,
You were-
but it was so cool. It
Yeah.
was amazing. Yeah,
Took
oh
a
yeah.
bunch
to
of
look-
pictures from up
yeah.
there.
So you're the
Looked
only
out
one
the-
that wasn't up there.
Looked out those windows
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they could move the hands by
Roma
hand.
went up too, didn't she?
Oh, I don't think she went all the way up. She didn't go up the ladder, but she went up to the
Yes,
floor.
yeah.
Yeah, she didn't go on the ladder, but. Well, she was.
Anyways, like I said, if we verify that, I think that would actually be a kind of a cool thing to have move over there where it's going to be a public space too,
Yeah.
instead of the church.
Yeah.
And, if, like I said, if we claim ownership and it's verified, then it's like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to get it out of there and, make it.
It's just so everybody knows, it has been a little contentious. I mean, there have definitely been some people arguing that, like, hey, this is part of the church, the building is part of the church, and there's other people, it's the town clock.
Yeah.
We all want to see the clock work. It's a real
Well,
push-pull.
like I said, fixing the clock, the faces, and putting in a mechanism that would actually have it tell the proper time and the correct time is, that's one thing.
I was real clear that I felt that we all were unanimous in our desire to see the clock functioning and aesthetically proper.
Yeah, kind of, right.
But yeah, I could see how like the ownership of the bell itself could be a tricky thing, and there could be,
That's a big, bone of contention.
Yeah.
There's some people who are really arguing like, hey, if the church went belly up, then what are we going to do? Just only keep the front of it? It's not an easy question to answer, and apparently it's just been word of mouth for decades.
So the church could put it on display with the kind of legality that if they can't, sustain being a church, that it get moved to a Easthampton public place or something. I don't know.
That's one thing. The other piece is like, you're still losing control at that point.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And what's become the only one of the things we have going for us, we paid for years to have that clock maintained.
Yeah.
And that was, I believe, when it was purchased in 1855, roughly. That was the highest point in town. So let's put it up there. We could, everybody be able to see it. It's, old town hall was not built at that point, so it was not that giant tower. So there's that.
Yeah.
When we did do the tour that time, I sent those pictures to a guy that specialized in those kind of clocks, and he said it's a fairly rare, valuable piece, and it should be preserved. They said they always screw them up. They drill holes in them, put this electronics on them, drives them nuts. But unfortunately, that email account that I had kind of went the way of the dodo bird, and it lost. I don't remember who it was. It was so many years ago now. So
Yeah,
there's that.
Yeah, and it'll all hinge on verification that the town owns, some certification that is done, and that's kind of where things stand right now.
Yeah. Okay.
Wilma's personal testimony at the time about how significant that clock was to people, even in, I don't think she specified the 30s necessarily, but how that really was a function of people who lived here, that they could see the time from places all around.
Yeah.
That was something that not people
Well, the city,
actually relied on.
like I said, besides maintaining, they actually hired a person to take care of the clock.
Yeah, that was another thing.
$75 a year,
That was-
which back in 1870-something was probably pretty big money.
Yeah.
However, it did come up in the meeting too that sort of stopped. That was happening up until a few years ago, and I guess
And up until we got a mayor,
yeah.
and then it kind of disappeared. So
Yeah.
it was like 20-something years now.
So
Really? That's when it
that
stopped?
position hasn't been.
When it
Well,
became-
it was going on a volunteer basis until a little more
Gotcha.
recently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Jeff Tannant did it for Williston,
Yeah.
and then he's out of town. So.
But now it's, I believe, not being attended.
Well, we want our clock back.
We do.
I hope it works out for us. I mean, I don't know.
I
Okay.
figure, we'll have to wait until the ball comes back in our court.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Historic sign program. How does everybody feel about doing something like that?
The historic sign
So,
program.
yeah.
I'm all for it.
Got you some information there a while back. I don't have it with me today, but I want to keep it on the agenda so it keeps in our minds.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's enough programs in Massachusetts to give us kind of an idea of what our possibilities are. Most of them are 9x12 type sign that the homeowner purchases and hangs out. There was other things, but most of it was purchased by whoever owned the building. And there was a few differences. Some of them were like historical societies that ran, and I broke it all down on that spreadsheet, which, like I said, I don't have a copy with me today, but we will revisit that in the future. The canal, I think we're updated on that, right? This is part of the final,
Yeah.
or the draft final.
That's
product.
really a terrific point. I'm glad you did that. Thank you.
Oh, I'm glad that they did this. This is the most information we've had on the canal, like, probably ever. And so it's good. We did get a postcard about planning grant coming up. What's right here. But I know everybody's overworked and underpaid, so I'm not gonna. Round 29 application deadline is March 17th. I'd like to keep the. This is the Preservation Projects Fund. I'd like to keep these kind of things on the table just so if we highlight something that like, oh, this, down the road, it could be a grant, we'd be that much more ahead of the game. So, I don't think there was anything that wasn't anticipated except for those guys showing up. Although I kind of had a sneaking suspicion. So I got nothing else. Next meeting, February. That would be what
15th?
8th?
8th?
Yeah, the 8th.
8th?
8th, yeah, 6:30.
Yep. 2, 8, 6:30. And anybody else have any questions, anything that we should be thinking about?
Pretty well
Want a
covered.
copy of that? It's kind of pretty.
I move we adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second? Laura?
I second and I.
Aye.
All right.
Too much crazy.